And meanwhile, they share with us that we must trust the science. And they continuously tell you trust the science. Put your faith in the science, yet they don't even trust in the science themselves, for you see, you can't sue Pfizer or Moderna.
You're looking at video of Sandra Lindsay, an intensive care nurse receiving the first vaccination at Long Island Jewish Medical Center in New York.
The U.S. began vaccinating the population against the coronavirus in December of 2020. The goal is to get the COVID vaccine to every person in the U.S. who wants one. But survey data shows that nearly 40% of the U.S. population doesn't want it. Widespread mistrust might have something to do with the fact that if anything goes wrong with the vaccine, the drug makers that produce them aren't responsible.
This is a remarkable circumstance. It's certainly not like anything anybody's ever seen before.
That means that companies like Pfizer and Moderna have total immunity against lawsuits related to injuries resulting from taking the COVID vaccines. Meanwhile, employers are legally allowed to require employees to get immunized against the virus.
Requiring a vaccine is a health and safety work rule, and employers can do that.
Ultimately, if we want any chance at returning to life as normal, mass vaccination is going to be critical. So how do you convince the public to take a vaccine made in record time using technology that's never before been licensed? And is anyone to blame if something goes wrong?
I thought they trusted in science. If they would trust in science, then they would back up their product. Because according to them, you can't deny science. Well, they surely don't believe in their own science. For if you take that vaccine and you get wounded and you have a side effect, you cannot sue anyone. It's all on you. Pfizer gets immunity. You get persecution in the workplace.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
And this is interesting. So many people are already talking about this. And the big question everyone has, can employers require their employees to have the vaccine before coming back to work?
And the answer to that question is generally speaking going to be yes. Because employers set the terms and conditions of employment, employers are going to be able to require that their employees get the vaccination.
But that word of, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. It gives me comfort. It reminds me that there is a God up there that knows that these things were to pass and know that you were going to be alive in this specific generation to witness these types of leaders. Dr. Birx indicated that you couldn't do anything through Thanksgiving, and she was stern on it. She said you need to stay home, period.
Well, no Thanksgiving with extended family members here in Utah. That's a new recommendation from Dr. Deborah Birx, White House Coronavirus Task Force Coordinator.
Brian Malahy had another exclusive local interview with her today. Is her recommendation through Thanksgiving only, or is she talking into Christmas and Hanukkah and New Year's?
Well, it's beyond Thanksgiving, and wait till you hear how far beyond. Also, what the governor says about this idea.
I'm really asking the people of Utah for the next 30 to 60 days to really follow these guidelines, which includes not gathering outside your extended household.
In my interview with her today, Dr. Birx seemed to fully grasp what a big request that is.
And I know there's a lot of extended households in Utah.
In the face of soaring COVID numbers, Birx called this the moment to protect loved ones.
We need to protect them now because a vaccine is coming.
So no gatherings with extended family members is your recommendation through Thanksgiving, through Christmas, through New Year's.
Until we can show that Utah is flattening the curve.
And what do we see from this leader? This one of the biggest leaders in the country that has advocated for businesses shutting down, for people to stay home, for travels to be banned. She didn't obey her own regulations. While she was telling you to stay locked down, she was out there eating that turkey in different people's home. While you're over there stressing in your house without being able to see your family, she's not obeying the rules that she puts upon you.
Right before Thanksgiving, health officials were warning everyone to stay home for the holidays and limit family gatherings to avoid spreading the virus. Now we're learning Dr. Deborah Birx traveled out of state over Thanksgiving weekend with 3 generations of her family from 2 separate households, disregarding her own advice. Well, Kane is a co-host of Fox and Friends Weekend, and he joins us live here in Studio J this morning. Happy holidays to you. Well, good to see you.
Good morning. Merry Christmas.
So is this just the latest round of hypocrisy? Rules for thee, not for me, because she traveled to her home. She said she was going there to winterize it, I believe was her explanation. But still, members outside of her own household, 3 generations, 2 different families.
Stunning, isn't it? It's stunning, though, not because of hypocrisy. Hypocrisy and politicians go hand in hand. That's coffee and donuts. Yes, we should be outraged about hypocrisy, but it's all too common. Whether or not it's Gavin Newsom or Eric Garcetti or the mayor of Denver or the mayor of Austin, it's just all too common. What's stunning, Sandra, is what it reveals. I think it just reveals an absolute disdain for the average common American out there that they send messages to. Americans out there right now whose businesses are being shuttered, their livelihoods being lost, they're saying goodbye to loved ones in the hospital without even able to go into the hospital. Think of the cost the average American is paying while the rule makers, the lecturers, the elites do not abide by these rules. I think what's stunning is the absolute disdain it shows for the American people.
This is tough, and you've had a long list of Democratic lawmakers that have been accused of hypocrisy because so many of them laying down these really tough restrictions. But here's Dr. Birx inside of obviously the COVID team at the White House, and she very clearly laid out her own advice right before Thanksgiving. I'm just wondering, what are they thinking?
And to continuously tell you trust the science. Put your faith in the science, yet they don't even trust in the science themselves.
You know what this is? It's an experiment in whether people will listen to scientists.